Thank you, Madam Chairman. Let me start, as all of you, with thanks. Thanks to Mr. Yakunian, and of course with Mrs. Yakunian, and friends and colleagues for creating this forum, first of all, and creating and keeping it intact and growing and becoming stronger and stronger during the last 10 years. It's for the first time in my life. I used to go, and I'm still going to many conferences worldwide, starting from World Economic Forum to others. But it's the first time here, and I'm very impressed with the openness and the real dialogue here. And I really enjoyed many speeches. I learned a lot here. And I specifically enjoyed also the 4-hour dialogue about the role of music in our lives, which was a real dialogue, because this is a small answer to the gentleman who raised the question that there is not much dialogue. There is a lot of dialogue here and a lot of discussion here. And my apologies, because I was supposed to speak at the last panel, but I have to travel. And my speech or presentation was going to be about geopolitics of confrontation of civilizations. So I'll try now to, in a form of a dialogue, not to make that presentation definitely, but to somehow engage in what you are speaking. So consider that as a dialogue, and 1 or 2 small sketches about that. Sketch number 1, or reflection number 1, on the debate that we had here about the natural resources. For years I was running the international organization, which was Energy Security, Worldwide Energy Security Council. So I know a little bit, I've learned a little bit about energy security. So my advice here is to be very, very careful with figures. First of all, you have to give a reference where these figures come from. And then you have to put the time, when, because these figures change all the time. And it will create a completely misconception of in what sort of world we are living. And that's important today, because the main theme of this dialogue today is about family and about children. At the end of the day, it is about the future. What is the future of the children, our grandchildren, that what sort of a world these people are going to live? So if we have wrong information about the world that they are going to enter and live and actively live there, so we'll give the wrong message to them. And my message here is on natural resources is that we can be absolutely relaxed. The figures are huge. This planet is so generous. I think the years, if you start calculating how many years, hundreds of years of hydrocarbons, it's not 46 years for oil reserves. It's much more, hundreds of years. And this is only today, because inside all of that figures, we are not taking into account the one important thing, exploration, science, and development. Because with exploration, science, and development, we will learn more, we'll explore more, we'll find more, and we'll use more, and we'll use more efficiently, much more efficiently than we are using. So our energy resources are endless. Don't worry about that. A simple, small example is that if you take the gas story, a couple of years ago, Europe was concerned what's going to be the future of the gas and and the relations between Russia and Europe. Now Europe is a bit more relaxed. Why? Because a couple of years ago, shale gas was discovered. Not the fact that the shale gas was discovered. What was discovered? New technologies that can use the shale gas. And immediately in one day, the amount of the gas usable in the world has doubled and tripled. Simple figures that probably you can remember are, if you take the energy that comes to this earth from sun, the energy that we have on this earth from water, the oceans, and the energy that we can get from wind today, is, if you take all our consumption as one unit, so from sun we can get 2,000 times. From water and wind, 330 times. So it's not about, is there enough? I'm not speaking about natural resources inside. So it's not about, is there enough energy? The issue is, can we use it? And how we can use it? And can we use it without a damage to environment? And here it comes to a very important issue that we have to learn now, and we have to teach our children to live in the 21st century, taking care of the planet. What does that mean? We are at the beginning of this story, and I'm very optimistic here. If you go back 15, 20 years ago, nobody was speaking about climate change. We, the planet, has started talking. It is an issue today, and we have become even smarter today because we have learned that speaking about environment is not enough. Speaking only about climate is not enough. It's generally the environment of the planet. Plus, it's not enough as well because we have to think about food and water. So what we are speaking about are four things: energy, food, water, and the general environment. And when we make our calculations and we teach our children how to live in the future, we have to take into account that producing biodiesel in Brazil maybe looks like a nice idea for a local village, city, or even for a country like Brazil. But is it efficient thing to use the land, which can be fertile, and produce a lot of food, to use it to produce something which you are burning? We are living at the edge of the 21st century. I can assure you that during the last 100 years, we have accumulated wonderful discoveries that will become effective very, very soon. I'll just give you one example. As an investor, I have invested in a technology. The technology comes from MIT and is financed by Group International Finances, and the technology is very simple. It is based on research which was done 60 years ago on DNA. In the nature, it was found a specific bacteria that in normal life absorbs photons, the light, captures CO2, and produces molecule of sugar. That's the natural process of that gas. Scientists find a way to modify DNA of this bacteria that it absorbs the sun, absorbs the CO2, which we don't need, and produces a full molecule of a biodiesel. And because it cannot eat it, it throws it out. I'm not speaking about science fiction. This is a factory, now is built in Austin, Texas, and I'm happy to tell you that a big group of international companies have invested there, including the Russian Rusnano, $30 million. It's an existing factory producing biodiesel from nothing, absorbing. So the question, our children tomorrow, should they burn oil or gas? No. Because the CO2 is produced industrially worldwide. What you need is sun and any water. So the world that these children are going to come in is a completely different world. The issue is, will they be smart and wise enough to use it properly? Another example, well, out of 100, the new world that children are going to come in is a world which is going to be different than we had before. Because it's a world which is interconnected, interlinked, interdependent, and the world that lives a life which is faster and faster and faster. Sometimes I call this world, the new world, a quantum world, because it has the qualities of quantum particles versus classical world that we were living before. Why? Because an individual, like an individual small particle, that has energy, i.e. talent, and the willingness and hard work, can be successful much more effectively today than 50 years ago. Because of the internet, because of the way you sell music, because the way you run, because the world is connected, and it will become quantum and quantum more and more. Of course, this world of quantum world of opportunities creates also quantum behavior of threats. And if you take the global risks, and if you rank them like it was done by a specific group several years ago, 50 of them, and the most severe ones, like 7 and 8, including the pandemics worldwide, including the financial crisis that we are seeing, or the rapid decline of production, industrial production in China, or cyber attacks. All of them have one specific feature in the 21st century and the 22nd century. They will be quantum. They will start somewhere, but they will not move as a classical particle. They will not start, let's say, anywhere in Far East, then the next is the next kind. No. The moment they start, they immediately will spread all over the world. So the risks that we are facing will be also quantum, including terrorism. Today's terrorism is not an army. It's our individuals that have quantum ways of doing that, through internet or individuals doing specific action. And you cannot fight terrorism classically, sending army or tanks against terrorists. You have to find, in the 21st centuries, ways of fighting the new terrorism, which is quantum. You cannot fight cyber attacks with tanks. So the world full of opportunities will be also full of problems, but they will be of different quality. So it's only two examples. I can continue, but I'll stop here to come to a conclusion that the 21st century that we are entering, the way I see it, is the end, not the end of the world that predicted for the year 2000, but the end of the industrial world. And we are going to a new world, which is the post-industrial world, which is the new world that our children and grandchildren are going to live. How they are going to live, I think the answer is, again, complex but also simple. Because we heard the last intervention here by Mr. Antonov, referring to the family as the basic unit and basic place where we can get the shelter, where from we can start our activities and continue and be self-sufficient and also stable and sustainable as human beings. And related to that, the 21st century and the 22nd will again raise a question. Do you believe in God? Well, I want to make it clear. There are, probably you can make these two questions. Do you believe in God? And does God exist? I'm a scientist. First part of my life, I was in science, in astrophysics, doing research on the structure of the universe. After many years doing this, I came to a conclusion that there is God, mathematically or physically. Because there is no way, when you see the structure of this universe, the beauty of the universe, the way it is built, from a couple of very simple elementary particles and a couple of laws and it has created this indefinite and without boundaries universe. There is only one way you can come to that. And if you think that scientists, physicists, the ones also that are getting Nobel Prizes, about the structure and the beginning of universe, and yet at the very boundary of that there is a speculation, because an honest scientist come to a boundary saying, what about before? And when you look at the beauty of this universe, how can a couple of particles, just a couple of laws, create the whole galaxies, human, our behavior, our mind, create creativity in us? There must be something which is beyond this, the beauty, the harmony that represents the universe. So my question is not, does God exist? Because the more we learn about the universe, the more we'll come to the conclusion that God exists. My question is, do you believe in God? And that's because believing in God means believing in God and believing in specific values, human values, not God's values. Human values that God has given to us, which includes our love to our children, our love and behavior, our family, and so on and so forth. So 21st century, I see that a wonderful place to be. Well, I'm very happy that I lived in 20th, but I would love to be there because it's a fascinating place. I'm very optimistic there. The threats will be there. They are modern, they are post-industrial, there will be quantum, and our main task should be today to try to prepare our children and our families and their children and their families to the challenges of the 21st and the 22nd century. Thank you.